Hi everyone, welcome to Dev Tips. This is part two of how we can use Postman to do API testing across different environments. In this quick video, I'll demonstrate how we can use the environments in the Postman to make our jobs easy. So, let's say for an example, I have two different minimal API instances running, the same instance running one in dev environment and another one in QA environment. So, just to mimic the behavior, I have changed the URLs. Both are running locally in my case, but assume that this is QA and this is dev. And there is one dummy endpoint and dummy data, which when we execute, just returns the data dev dummy one, two, three, basically an array of strings. Similarly, if I hit the same thing in the QA, it is also returning me same dummy data, a slightly different dummy data, basically denoting that it is coming from QA environment. So we know it is tedious to go into individual Swagger pages and then test it out this way. So what we can do, we can go to Postman and in the collection, I just created two different URLs, one hitting to dev and another one hitting to QA. So if I try to send this, as you can see, it just came back with the same result, right? And here also, if I try to execute, it came back with the same result. Uh, Nothing changes from what we just did on the browser. But there is an interesting thing we can do where we do not have to duplicate efforts like this, where you create a different URL, right? So let's try to create that. What we can do is there is a thing called environment, which is supported in a Postman. And I do not have any environment right now. So let's try to create one. So I'll just create a new environment. I will name it as dev. And there is really cool feature where you can create your variables into an environment. Now that variable can be of type default, which is just a string variable, or it can be some sort of secret as well. But for this example, I'm going to keep it simple and we'll name it base URL. Okay. And we'll keep it default. You can also keep the secret. In that case, the value becomes masked somewhere here. You can read about that once you come to this point. Right. So I'm going to save this for now, setting up no value for initial and the current. And let me see if I can clone this. Yes, I can. So instead of doing dev copy, I can do UA, right? And the base URL, I did not set it yet. Okay, so let's take a URL out of here, right? This is coming from dev. We'll go to dev environment and we'll set the value to this local host and port 4047 and I will save that. Similarly, whatever comes from QA, I will get that. We'll put it into QA's base URL value and I will save that too. This is something interesting. Don't forget to save it. Sometimes you will end up spinning tabs to tabs trying to figure out why it is not working, but technically you will not have saved that. That's why. So you close those environments. And now what I'm going to do is I can remove this QA dummy data endpoint, right? Delete. Now I do not have to name it like dev or QA. I can simply rename it as dummy data endpoint. And in order to replace the value of the URL, you have to do like this. Curly parenthesis, right? And one more curly parenthesis. And inside that, you have to type in your variable that you created at your environment level. So now you can see I just changed it to base URL. And if I try to save this and hit it, it says could not send the request because the value is not evaluated. right? So unresolved variable. So I have a variable, but it is not able to find that. Why? Because if you see on your top right corner, it says no environment selected, right? Now, as you can see, when you click on this drop down, you should see two environments that we just created. So if I select dev, now the variable that I have declared under dev environment are accessible. And if you hover your mouse onto the base URL, you can see it kind of picks up the value localhost 7147. Now, if I click on send, it correctly finds the data from dev environment. Now, if I want to execute the same endpoint against QA environment, I do not have to do anything crazy. I just need to change the QA environment, right? And if you look at the URL, now it changed to 7129. So again, click on send. Now you are getting data from QA. So this is another interesting trick where leveraging the environments into Postman can make your job easy, where you can reduce the API calls, basically the API request under the collection, and you can dynamically change the environment and get the appropriate data. If you think this was worth your time, please subscribe and thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.